and declare him their new king.
Hi. Hello.
Hey you guys, welcome back. So I thought today might be kind of fun to take you through, not necessarily like a day in the life, but a day in our homeschool life, if that makes sense. So like most people, we are going to start out by eating breakfast. We take our mornings rather slow and we just begin by eating breakfast. We also really like to just listen to music and dance, and I call it just kind of getting the sillies out before I expect my kids to sit still. We're having our little morning dance and get some energy out, I guess. They're gathering up their school books. Let me turn off Sunny and share. Okay, so on the agenda today, we are just doing some of our regular group work, which is what we usually start out with in the morning. So we do some Bible, some history, things like that. And then we do like our read aloud and kind of get through our group subjects. I have something planned for the kids today. Something very special, something new that we're starting, and they don't know anything about it. Her face over here is like, what is going on?
Is it a puppy?
It is not a puppy. I like to get my coffee. It's in there, I promise. This is just a big mug. I've got a little Beethoven playing in the background just to exercise the mind, if you will. And the little kids are in there. They're still my husband's helping them get dressed and finish their breakfast. It sounds like someone's strangling someone else in there. I don't really know what's happening. But sometimes Noah joins us for some of these group subjects. I've talked about this before, but we don't require that our kids join us for group subjects until 3rd grade. So if anyone wants to, they're welcome to, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It just depends on the day and what we're doing. But today's focus is going to be getting some of our regular group work done, but we're going to focus on some other things that we don't get to all the time. No 2 days ever look the same. So let us begin.
Know this, and never talk yourself out of it, Lila. All
right, so we are just going to begin by getting everybody kind of settled, and this is my lesson planner, and I've talked about this before. I don't plan ahead as much as I do just tracking what we actually do each day. So I go through and write down, the group subjects that we're going to do, and then along the side I put each of the kiddos' names, and that's the little box where I write what they've done for the day, because every day does look so different for us, and sometimes they're doing more book work, and sometimes they're doing more apps and hands-on games and stuff like that. So I just like to track what they do versus planning out every little thing that I expect them to do each day. I just find it works better for us and kind of helps me from feeling like I'm behind or that sense of guilt of like, oh, I didn't do this thing that I had planned. So it just works better for us this way.
Lila, you're perfect like you are, a sublime creation. But you play yourself small. Such a waste of your beauty, girl. Lila, the key to it is you. Turn it when you feel it's true. Never look back.
On the water, at the campsite, they had set up the tents.
Love yourself and don't give in. And when you feel the harmony, smile with the suns and let your light shine without holding it in. Love yourself and don't give in.
As you can see, we've lost a few children.
Ivy's getting a massage.
Noah and Rosie have abandoned us.
Show them
Ivy's
massage.
over there
Getting a massage.
getting some kind of like, what's that called? Oh shoot, what's it called?
You did Finania?
Shiatsu massage. Anyways, we're still on history. That's usually the part where we lose a few kids and then we gain some back when we start to do science or space or whatever that's going to be. So anyway, so we're learning about pilgrims today, and this is the part where I get to use my discernment as a mother, and there's a couple of things that I don't entirely agree with. And so, hey Ivy, can I have my hair tied back? So that's part of the reason I like homeschooling, is this gives me an opportunity to talk through that with my kids and make sure that I'm giving them more of an honest version of history. Yeah, this has definitely opened up lots of conversation for us. as we go through to kind of talk about things perhaps in a little more truthful light and a little less of the sort of school book version of what happened.
It's an infinity sign.
Thank you.
Feel the harmony, smile with the sons of the galaxies.
It's about 10:45 and we did get a much later start today than I would have liked. I had to go get a video uploaded and stuff, so I had to go out and work, and we had to go take the car to the shop this morning, my car. Turns out we just got a call, it needs a new brake stuff and something else, I don't remember what else. $1,200, so that's fun. But yeah, so it's 10:45, we're gonna start our read aloud. I typically encourage the kids during this time when I'm doing the read aloud to work on some kind of independent schoolwork item that is, you know, something they can do without having to concentrate too much, so like working on their handwriting or something like that. But they are welcome to just draw or color and listen to the story. So that's kind of how I do read aloud time. Like I said, they don't have to. I encourage them to get going on their independent schoolwork just because it saves them time, but they don't have to. So they can draw, and I'm going to read a few chapters of our book. Brandishing their swords, lined the flower-strewn main street. The bells of the town's various churches rang out, and the royal flags flew from every rooftop. Decorative tapestries had been hung in front of the houses that lined the streets. A small sloop had brought word ahead that Prince Charles was aboard the newly renamed Royal Charles, the flagship of the fleet of 31 ships that had gone to Holland to retrieve the Prince of Wales and declare him their new king. All right, so we're moving on, and we are moving into our space unit, which we are almost done with, and then hopefully today I'm gonna start working on building our next unit. I already have kind of started working on it, but I wanna share with you guys what I do to put together a unit. So I'm hopefully gonna start working on that later this afternoon, what our next unit will be. But for right now, we're finishing up space. Look. Yeah, is that one? Okay, all right. Yeah, everyone sees your critter. Hi.
Hello.
All right, so we are wrapping up our space unit. I think we've only got 1 or 2 lessons left in this unit, but this is one of the Good and the Beautiful science units, and we have really enjoyed their various science units. We really kind of use them like a spine and then build off of them. It's a really good opportunity for me to incorporate more in areas where my kids show interest, and kind of back off and not push as much in areas where they're just not so interested. So I love the flexibility that it gives us. And right now, some of the younger kiddos are in the kitchen, dining room area, and they are working on some handwriting and some reading. My husband kind of keeps watch on all that and makes sure that everything's going as it should there with those guys in the kitchen area, while I am working on, in this case, space and planet stuff with the older kiddos.
The first ever gravitational waves were discovered like 1 or 2 years ago. They were theorized like 50, 60 years ago as a possibility of 2 black holes colliding and then actually rippling space-time. And then we developed these laser machines, which are basically 2 lasers.
All right, so I'm gonna make some brownies for our special event that's taking place in a little bit. I'm gonna make us a little treat. While those brownies are baking, I'm just going to whip together some lunch. Today is just a very basic chicken salad sandwiches. Those cans of chicken salad from Costco are awesome. We love chicken salad sandwiches. So we're going to have that, and we're going to just have some little tomatoes and carrots to snack on, and also some potato chips. So that will carry us through lunch and get us ready for our little afternoon tea time, which will include, of course, brownies. have got everything and I'm going to begin setting up for something new that we are going to be doing, which is poetry tea time. There's a ton of information out there about poetry tea time and why to do it and different fun ways to do it. And I think that there's a hashtag on Instagram called #PoetryTeaTime. And just lots of information out there. If you look, Julie from, I think it's Julie Bogart from Brave Writer, I believe she's the one who started this idea. But anyways, so I'll leave some information about it down below. But we're gonna take kind of our own little spin on it because I know my kids and I know what engages them and what doesn't. And so the idea basically is that poetry is kind of one of those subjects that it's kind of boring to learn for a lot of people. They're not really all that interested in it. And so this kind of takes something that could otherwise be boring and makes it a little more exciting and fun. And we have, of course, our own little spin that we're going to put on things. And I'll kind of share more about that as this evolves for our family. But I've gone out of my way to do some really fun things to make this something that the kids really enjoy. So we'll be doing it hopefully about once a week. And yeah, so I'm gonna get everything set up and the kids have no idea. So hopefully this goes over well and isn't just a big flop because I've really thought a lot about this. I'm just hoping that it piques their interest and that they're intrigued enough to kind of engage with me in this. So we'll see. The Braniff Poet Society. Okay, now. Excuse me, sir. Thank you. Now, gently place the teacup down. If we all agree, say aye. Aye.
Okay, all goofiness aside, the point of this time is really to spend time reading poetry. It makes it something that is special and fun for the kids and not just, sit down and listen to mommy read these poems. So I just love incorporating things like this. Like this to me is part of the huge benefit of homeschooling is that I get to do this once a week. I can whip out some teacups and some brownies and my kids enjoy poetry and they look forward to sitting down and reading poetry together. So I love it.
All right, so we're gonna take this time to do our family read aloud a little bit while they are gonna draw, do some more independent work, just kind of chill, relax while I read. Apparently I'm gonna continue to wear the costume. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is check independent work. Kennedy's done with all her independent work. Shelby is still wrapping up some of hers. So I'm gonna check all their independent work and make sure that everything's good there. And then I'm gonna begin planning for the next unit. Normally I would not still be in here working on school at this point, but because we did poetry tea time today and because I'm going to start working on the next unit and planning that, that's That's why I'm still in here at this point. It's 2:21 right now. So I'm gonna start working on planning the next unit, check schoolwork, and see where we get to.
All right, so the next unit we are going to be tackling is called Water in Our World. It is another good and beautiful unit. So I usually just sit down and write down in my notebook and make this basically the same page every time I'm planning this out, where I make a spot for resources, a spot for activities, field trips, movies or documentaries that we want to watch, and then I make a little spot here where I can sketch out what I want to put on my chalk wall. So I have a big chalk wall behind me, and it's just one of the fun things that I like to do is add something creative and interesting there for the unit that we're working on.
All right, since I know we're going to be doing Water and Our World, which is this unit, but I'm obviously going to make this a little more robust. So I like to just kind of first take a look, see what I already have. These are other units we're going to do in the future, and see what kind of resources I already have for the kids, additional materials I can use, and just kind of start there.
All right, so I'm just gonna go through and 3-hole punch all of the sheets for this unit and get them into my binder. I just like to kind of get all of this part set up so that I can sit down and flip through each lesson and look at what they are talking about in each lesson and what they suggest. And a lot of times the materials and everything are listed there. There's suggestions for videos to watch and everything. So I really like to go through and see kind of what each lesson is about, what areas I think my kids will be more interested in, what do I want to expand on for them. For example, in this, I think that if I know my kids well, they will be interested in learning more about erosion and how that process works, as well as icebergs and glaciers. So there's just different areas that I like to look at and see, based on what I know of my kids, what might they be interested in learning more about. And I'll kind of put that as a focus for what I'm searching for, more resources and activities and things like that. These units do come with a book suggestion list here. You can see that they have them listed for different lessons and what extra books they recommend. I might kind of go through and look and see which ones look interesting to me that I think my kids will also be interested in, and then I can go search for those on Amazon if we want to add them to the list. Then that's just an easy way for me to keep track of what additional books I might want to look for. And then I just like to take a moment to kind of flip through the different resources that I already have on hand for this unit, things I think might work, and I just kind of flip through to see if I think I can actually find a way to squeeze it into what we're learning about. Kind of yes or no situation here where I just look through some of our Usborne books and things like that and see what I can incorporate for the younger kids as well as for the older kids. And I did purchase this Water in Our World supply kit. I don't believe these are for sale anymore, but this goes along with the curriculum so that you have all the supplies you need for the experiments and stuff like that. I purchased that a while back, so I'm going to go ahead and I don't have to even make a list for supplies I need. Normally I would do that. I would make a list of supplies I needed for different activities or experiments, but I don't need to do that since I have that box. But like I said, I just like to flip through each lesson, look and see what they're talking about, see if anything stands out to me that I want to, kind of deep dive and look for more information on to kind of build out the unit and make it more robust. And of course, to do that, one of my first places that I head is to Pinterest. And I just will look up different things, erosion, glaciers, different topics, and see what I can find on Pinterest. There are so many amazing teachers and other homeschool moms out there who have gone before us and done a ton of research and put together really fun activities and units and things like that. So I am definitely going to utilize their hard work in building out what I want to add to our unit to kind of beef it up a little bit.
Right, so I have kind of gone through and looked at all of the lessons. Like I said, I'm just going to kind of use this as an outline. And then what I do is go through and see what resources I already have. This is like a book pack that I had ordered, and some of the things that I know I want to include. There's some good stuff in this book that I already have. And then this is a book that we are going to do a book study, kind of like a mini unit study, if you will. Towards the very end of this unit, we'll do a little mini book report unit thing with this book. And then the last thing is for movies and documentaries. Sometimes I will research this ahead and sometimes I won't. I'll just being honest, I will just kind of search around the time that we're on that lesson. but sometimes I will go ahead and go through and make playlists, or like you guys saw on my Pinterest board, sometimes somebody else has gone through and made playlists and video ideas and stuff, and I just pin that. So then all I have to do is go to that pin and pick a movie or documentary from that for the kids to watch about, you know, oceans, tides, currents, icebergs, glaciers, hydropower, clean water, water conservation, all that kind of stuff. So lots of different things. This unit is definitely less heavy on the resources. I don't have nearly as many extra like books and stuff on my shelf as I normally do. But I'm also getting to the point where I love the books and I love having them, but I'm trying not to go too crazy because there's a lot of other like actual like books that we like and want to keep too. So I'm trying not to build my resources up to like a ridiculous amount. So yeah, so I'm not gonna stress about that. And then the last thing to do is just kind of design my idea for what I want the chalk wall to be. And again, I think probably what I'll do, because this unit kind of covers a lot of different things, I think probably what I'll do is kind of break it up and just have like the forms of water and the water cycle and all of that. So the next thing for me to do is kind of sketch that out, and I just give myself a general idea of where I want things to go, and then I use the chalk on the wall when I'm ready to actually do that. So we're not quite ready to switch over units yet, so I'm not going to do that. But that's sort of the basis of how I build these units. I used to try to make them like really, really, really in depth, but I found that the kids they would get bored with it fast. So we kind of go through them a little faster than we used to. I like to take about a month to a month and a half, 8 weeks at maximum for any one unit, just depending on what time of year we're working on that unit. If there's other things going on that mean we work on it less or whatever. So this unit, I would say probably about 4 weeks, maybe 5. So yeah, that's kind of the general idea of how I just take an hour or so to sit down. Sometimes it takes me a little longer than that, but an hour or so to sit down and map out and plan out our next homeschool unit. All right guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed this just kind of like behind the scenes peek into a day in our homeschooling life, sort of what it looks like. And again, I just want to reiterate that every day looks a little different. Some days do not involve baking brownies and wearing costumes and doing all of that kind of stuff. Some days are just doing the schoolwork, maybe watching a documentary or whatever. But I have just learned so much the value of really engaging my kids in what we're doing, and how much better they retain the information when they're really engaged. So it's become a priority for me to find different ways to engage them in what we're doing, and find different ways to help find the things that they're interested in and bring it along with kind of what we're already working on. So yeah, that's just like a very brief peek. Like I said, without someone here to film it for me, it's really impossible to show you every little thing that we do. And I didn't get much footage of the younger kids. You know, without someone else to man the camera, if I'm trying to teach and man the camera, then obviously stuff is getting missed and not shown. But yeah, so this was just kind of like a homeschool with me, see how things go. I know people are really curious a lot of times about that. So yeah, this was just one day out of hundreds. And if you guys enjoyed this video and you'd want to see more, maybe days that look different stuff that we're doing or whatever, please let me know. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below and let me know if you guys want to see more videos like this. But yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see y'all again very soon.